Hi friends, and welcome to Calm Stories. My name is Jackie, and today I'm going to be reading Maximum Impact by Henderson. So I read these books in the suburbs of my house and sometimes out in a park. So natural noises you'll be able to hear, they are not fabricated. Okay, so here we go. It says, a relentlessly paced page-turner, a roller coaster read in the best tradition of Tom Clancy. Maximum action, maximum excitement. So first of all, let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. You can take this time, you can pause the video and find yourself at least 10% more comfortable by finding a pillow or a blanket, maybe a cup of tea, some artwork you're doing. You could be crocheting, you could be cleaning your house even. So here we go, part 1, chapter 0. The sun had been up for 2 hours, and as the city outside got itself underway on a bright, late summer morning, the world turned into just the position to put the coffee on. High on a shelf before his kitchen window was a small model of Stonehenge. The sarsen monoliths were shaped of polymer clay, oven-cured, weathered, and airbrushed in obsessive detail. The monument was not fashioned after the vandalized and ragged shadow of itself that survives on the bleak chalk plains of Salisbury today, but as it had stood in its full pagan glory 5,000 years before. The ancient circle was modelled in precise concentric scale on a miniature landscape of stubby green grass and scattered rock, rotating infinitesimally to compensate for the tilt and orbit of the Earth around the Sun. The intricate mechanism was built on the guts of a pawnshop pioneer turntable, though its original manufacturer wouldn't have had the clues to claim it. It had pleased him to rescue the old tech of this record-playing machine into a new form and more timeless purpose. Now as the sun rose over Manhattan, just as it would have in a cool September 2 millennia before the dawn of the Iron Age, a ray of morning light filtered through the warren of calendar stone to mark the coming of the new day. The pencil sunbeam struck the face of the coffee maker, itself a sunbeam, and illuminated a solar cell that activated the highly modified machine. A measure of espresso beans skittered through a funnel into the electric mill, spun down to a place end grind, dropping into a filter in the grip of an advancing articulated arm, and the strong coffee began to brew. Back when he's still been ship-shaped to do so, his father might have tutted as much elaborate machines applied to a simple manual task. The same glass of mind, of course, would have looked on its clueless wonder as the ancient Britons dragged their 50-ton quarry stones for 20 miles into the middle of nowhere to build a mystery for the ages. The apartment was awakening. Here and there a relay or solenoid clicked in response to an infrared or RF signal from a timer sensor, or from a complementary device in an ensemble. Over 2 decades, he had patiently handmade his space to be as alive as a thing that was not alive could possibly be. Normally in robotics, the goal was to miniaturize and make independent analog or some living thing. Those were trinkets, crude science fair notives, and John Fegan had gone in on the other direction. His idea of mechanical companion was right 4,000 square feet large. The walls, ceiling, floor humming with hundreds and trillions of bits of silicon intelligence, and he lived inside of it. The clear weather outside selected 2 CDs to spinner in a rack of players, one of autumn bird songs and the other Rutavar's Angel of Light. Indirect lamps hummed gradually to the gentle dawn settings. He preferred artificial illumination, since the sun signalled a day too short by half for his body clock. Today, his morning actually happened to be a morning. John had slept at his desk, as he usually did, reclined in an electronically tricked-out lazy boy, worthy of a spot on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. He would never have made the Trekkie reference himself, of course. Everything after the second season had been horseshit, or Shatnerian proportions. And besides, this was the real deal. Behind him, a regular mosaic of hundreds of salvaged LCD screenlets flickered alive in a domino sequence, row upon row, to form a 12-foot diagonal. 16 by 9 format high definition window on the outside world. Every small screen had an intelligent feed from a separate source of news on the internet and favorite sites, RSS feeds and news groups, to hack satellite and cable videos, tap surveillance gear, webcams, and instant messaging streams. Each screenlet chose and displayed its content based on a buzz algorithm that parsed for personal relevance, keywords, proximity, source, and substance. They could work together or individually, forming larger or smaller subscreens in the array as the significance of the content warned. It was an ever-changing symphony of visual input that CNN would have paid billions to develop, if such a thing could have crossed a corporate mind. John was becoming conscious, and it wasn't a welcome sensation. Along with his usual discomfort, something warm and wet was slapping the back of his hand as it hung over the arm of the chair. "Boner, please, for God's sake," he said. The dog sat and gave a low, timid bark in answer. He looked something like a small shepherd, though with a healthy mixture of many other fine breeds in patchy evidence. "Feed the dog, please, and make it half-hour earlier tomorrow, all right?" he said. Understood and adjusted. A digital voice answered in a refined emulation of Kate Jackson, of Charlie's Angels. A spout extended from a cabinet near floor level by the door, and a cup of lamb and rice kibble filled a low dish adorned with a cartoon footprint. Thin beams of sentient light danced briefly across the nearby bowl, confirming the level, temperature, and clarity of the water within. Boner trotted over to his breakfast. John lifted a hand to rub his eye awake, and a hangover was pounding just behind them. He reached out blind for the remains of the pint of Old Crow on the arm of the chair and killed the last 2 swallows. His dad would have called this a little morning pick-me-up. The old prick had been right, though. Head began to about the nuisance of alcoholism, if nothing else. The pain in his head began to dissolve, and he cracked open his eyes. Near the upper left-hand corner of the medial wall, a new image abruptly replaced the talking head that had occupied the spot a moment before. In the mirror of his darkened desktop, a computer monitor, he only noticed the reflected image as it expanded to take up 4, then 8, then 16 segments of the array behind him. Something was growing newsworthy, at least in the group mind of the news services and the net. He reached for his glasses, put them on, and swiveled his chair to face the screen. The image he saw there in the corner took several moments to begin to register. He had seen its subjects 1,000 times, but it looked so different now that his mind wouldn't immediately accept it as itself. The image doubled in size again, blotting out border wars, famine and disease, George Clooney and Chardre Levy. It was bigger now, but still not real. There was so much smoke, far too much for a fire that could even be contained. The picture took 2 jumps larger then, pushing aside politics. All the world's attention began to take focus on a single spot. John stood up slowly and walked a few steps toward the moving image that now rippled outward to fill the entire wall. Then there it was, realization. A quarter of a mile up in the sky, Tower 1 of the World Trade Center was burning. Scrolling text at the bottom of the screen said the North Tower had been struck by an aircraft, possibly a small private plane, about 15 minutes ago. He took another step closer to the screen, which was now showing the wide gyrocam shot from News Chopper 4 of the unreal scene unfolding only blocks from where he stood. John checked his watch. It was 9:03. He was growing numb, but his mind was still working. Any second now, he breathed. A moment later, United Flight 175, outbound from Boston, sliced into the South Tower, releasing 30,000 litres of jet fuel into the conflagration.